Hey everybody, it is LSID932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me for Married at First Sight Australia, the finale. We're finally here. We're finally here, y'all. If you know Australia, you know we always go up to 30 something, 40 something episodes. You know, it's 4 episodes a week, week after week. It's a commitment. We have got to commit every week to the show as well. So thank you so much for joining me. Hit a like, share, subscribe. There are a lot of people coming back to view the video, but a lot of you aren't subscribing, and we need that to grow and to show up in the YouTube algorithm. I am here with Life is Reality. He has committed to us as well every week, and we are up to the final episode. We were beefing about it last week, and now we're going to talk to you about exactly what happened in the finale. What are your thoughts? Tell us how you do in Life is Reality.
Yeah. What's up, everyone? First of all, the finale, final dinner party, final sessions on the couch with the therapists. To be honest, I thought there'd be more. I thought they'd touch on more, but they only seem to specifically want to speak about the couples that made it to decision day, made it to the aisle for the final vows. I can see why they did that, but also there are a lot of people that needed to be held accountable that they let slide in the season. It's like they picked their favorites on who they wanted to selectively hold to account, but they let a lot of probably worse stuff slide with certain castmates. So I was particularly interested to see if they would, have those castmates on the couch to ask them, what were you thinking about your actions, or now seeing it back? Is there any change in your thought process as to how you handled particular situations? We didn't get that with as many as we thought, but still, there was enough carnage and enough accountability holding to be had with the castmates that they did get to. Obviously, they let some slide, but yeah.
Or they let a whole bunch slide. And I'm not going to take my foot off their neck with what they let slide, because I am offended that they let it slide. And I told you last week I had fire. You're like, wait, hold on. You know they're going to get you. They got you in the finale. I was like, okay, I'm going to trust and believe. And now my trust has been shattered. They did not bring up what I wanted them to bring up, and now I'm mad. I'm mad. I let you tell me the promised land is near, and it didn't even get me there. We were nowhere near the promised land. I was too through. There were some things brought up, but what I wanted brought up, they just left it on the cutting room floor. Now I'm mad. So let's get into our let's do it according to how they did it there. Let me pull up the first couple they had us talking about. First couple they had us talking about was Jamie and Dave. Let me pull the banner off so y'all could see. This is, of course, for entertainment purposes only. This is an edited, produced show. And Jamie and Dave, they kind of brought them up about, Jamie said there was a disappointment that things didn't work out. They did agree to stay together after the show, and it was the same old, same old. Dave wasn't really that invested in the relationship. They'll make good friends. It's an incredible journey. But, they look back at the whole journey they had, and they made it seem like he and Veronica had something going on. But I don't know. But Dave said he's ashamed at how he handled her and her concerns, and that their relationship came to a quick pause because of him. Life is Reality. What did you think about them and the whole Jamie, Dave journey and what it turned out to be now?
Well, he did take accountability for his fault in his share of the blame, and it was mostly his. It was his loss of attraction, obviously, and he couldn't articulate that well enough. And at times, he didn't say anything at all when it really mattered. So he held his hand up to that, and his partner, Jamie, wants a more responsive person. She wants someone who, when something's happening, say it as it is right there and then. Even if it does hurt her feelings, at least he said it. and then they can attempt to rebuild or reconnect afterwards. But what he was doing is holding back. And that was to the detriment of their relationship. It made her lose attraction for him. And it was ultimately his loss of attraction that started it in the first place. So once those dominoes started falling, it was very hard to come back. He did try to bring it back once he realized how hurt she was. But by then the damage was already done. And they seem to be amicable as friends now. But obviously at the time where there was more emotion involved, it was, pretty much a standoff between them. And I felt like she was demanding at the time. She's asking him to basically come out of his skin, come out of his shell. And I don't think he's used to doing that. So they just weren't a good match, unfortunately. The type of guy that she's looking for isn't Dave. Maybe visually, maybe physically, but in terms of the emotional connection, it wasn't right. It wasn't the right fit.
As you say that, my question would be, how is Dave going to sustain a relationship if he's not putting forth an effort? So maybe the Dave we see with Jamie, but not necessarily Dave in a relationship with someone he does see a future with. Like she's like, it's like he doesn't see she could be the mother of his children. So is this just Dave being kind of passive, like, I'm not going to break up with you? But then that, Dave, is doing a disservice to yourself as well, because you should just move on and you could find the person. Because if you're just sitting here with Jamie and you're making Jamie be tethered to you sitting here, then that means y'all are blocking your blessings, as the old people would say. You are blocking the person who's truly for you and your future, and now you're just stagnant. So is it that we're seeing Dave with someone he just doesn't want to have a future with?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's two things. He held his hand up and was accountable. And then he also said he learned from this particular experience how to move forward in his next relationship. So it is the case that he didn't see a future with Jamie. He didn't know how to tell her. And the problem was she saw a future with him. So that's why she felt like it was a waste of time when their relationship broke down, and she took it very badly. So I think you can give him points, good points, for saying, okay, it was him, took accountability, didn't shift blame once, didn't say, you said this, you did this, and that's what turned me off. None of that. He held his hand up and said that. He's going to move forward into a relationship where he can apply whatever he's learned. The other thing is, not every relationship is the same, meaning that some people naturally draw stuff out of you when the connection's right. And some people, you have your walls up a bit more because you're uncertain, or or things have happened in the relationship to make you go into your shell rather than express how you really feel. So, maybe the partner that he does find, the girl that he does find, is someone where it naturally flows out of him. He's more talkative, more expressive than he is with Jamie. Because let's face it, Jamie is I wouldn't say she's a hothead.
Firecracker.
Yeah, she's a firecracker.
Firecracker.
Right. Definitely a cracker. So what I'll say is, sometimes that personality type is difficult to deal with in a relationship if you're a lot more shy and inside yourself, more timid. And that's what we saw. I don't know if she will cope well with someone who is as firecrackerish as herself, but she definitely seems to want to try it. So, I don't think it's the end for Dave. Obviously, he's tall. She was attracted to him. There's probably many women out there in Australia and maybe beyond that are attracted to him. He'll always find a woman. He wasn't a bad guy. It's just that he doesn't express his emotions as easily as someone like Jamie would like. That doesn't make him a villain.
No, he's not a villain. Because he took accountability, he understood what his limitations were. He did step up to the plate. Jamie said that she is open to dating internationally. She's like, hey, the Australian market ain't it for her. But for Dave, I think that, what Dave has to learn, to do, or maybe it's because it's Jamie. And this is not to villainize her either. Since she's a firecracker, it may be hard for him to express himself because we all know you don't want to be holding a firecracker when it's lit. Okay? What he does not want is for it to implode on him if he says the wrong thing. So it could be why Dave was shy, reserved, and didn't say too much. And why he was giggly with Veronica because hey, I didn't have a problem with him giggly with Veronica because it more seemed like you're not my wife, you're not the person in the experiment. I could let my guard down and just chill with you. He could just chill with you. So while I just, I think they are good together on camera and they are going to interviews together, which is wonderful. They are showing us they still have that good friendship. I just think they're just time and season. I think when Jamie gets to a point in her life where she is truly trying to settle down and not too much of a firecracker, she is still 28. Maybe when Jamie is 32, she may have settled in, and Dave may, learn to voice more of his opinion if he gets a little bit closer to 40. But Dave, the clock is ticking louder for you than it is for Jamie. Any other thoughts on Jamie and Dave?
Yes. So the interesting thing is during the partner swap, we saw a completely different Dave. He was a lot more relaxed, and Veronica wasn't asking as much from him emotionally. So that seemed to be why they connected more. Remember, Veronica was in a relationship with Elliot, a dude she doesn't even like. So she found Dave a breath of fresh air. So she was just appreciating however he presented to her, however he showed up to her. And because it's just a trial swap, you're going back to your partner anyway. So it's like I don't know, like a brief hiatus, a breath of fresh air, a chance to see someone else in the same environment. And that's why I think there were rumors that there was something that went on because they seem to get on very well. That doesn't mean anything happened. And as we saw from the footage that they showed, there wasn't the shenanigans that everybody suspected. But so Dave, like I said, if he's with a different partner, it may have gone a different way. Someone who allows him to be himself and be comfortable being himself, like Veronica did on the swap, might work better for him than the lofty expectations that Jamie puts on him about being the mother to his children and all these other different things, So I don't think he was panicking, but I think he just shut down because it was just kind of overwhelming to a degree.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you. They definitely have, followed their own journey, their own path. It didn't lead to a long-lasting marriage, but it does seem to be a long-lasting relationship. I just hope in the future that any spouse that they may have in the future does understand this connection and understand it is a show, it is edited, it is produced, and they can certainly have a wonderful life. Now let's get on to a fiery, couple because this is where I have all the heat. You know what couple it is. I have all the heat for the couple and the adjacent to them. Adrian and Athena. Okay, let's summarize this. Adrian found that Athena saying that he was potentially dumb was the biggest insult. Okay, biggest insult. He forget that his sister had called Athena trash in front of him. Okay, he forgets that part. So Sierra does talk about the whole thing that they said maybe the wife swap was a good idea. She just had a wonderful sharing of a plate of meat with her friend, and she is not going to feel guilty about that. And she felt that Athena was trying to vilify her. They look back, and in the look back, while Adrian made Athena feel bad because she said she cheated in a prior relationship, Adrian left out the fact that he has also cheated in a prior relationship, and the producers had to pull that out of him. So Athena and said that Tim, who was the last resort date, the date that she had at the end, asked more about her life. But here's where I have the heat. And your life is reality has heard me say this before, so don't think I'm coming at him. The production during the show showed us Adrian playing footsie with Sierra under the table. They were smoothing their legs. She had her leg there. He moved his leg closer. Rubber dub dub, leg on leg action. And then she gave him a wink. And then she perched her lips up like she blowing him a kiss. Now, y'all, they did not mention this not one time on the finale, and I got hot. I got hot because y'all talking all this stuff. The least you could have done was shown that. And that's what the finale is for. That is what Life is Reality reminded me last week. He reminded me, hey, they put up these little cheating scandals, all the stuff the camera captured that they didn't talk about during the season. They bring it up. Hold your horses, rein it in. Now, here I am. I'm sitting here, production got egg on their face because we didn't talk about it not one time. It ain't on the social media. So what exactly is going on, Life is Reality? What the heck happened? Because I'm at a loss.
Well, to be honest, I'm at a loss too, because as messy as the show and production can be, I would have thought that would have been one of the cards that they would have had at up their sleeve when Adrian and Athena were on the couch. Now, as I said, they didn't really bring in people who didn't make it to their final vows, but they did ask a few questions to those people, right? They weren't just there to make up the audience, they were part of the show. So I think they really missed the trick with that one. Why didn't they address the fact that Adrian was playing footsie under the table? Because that is actually cheating. You know, you said you never cheated on a spouse before. You later admitted it in the confessionals that you kind of had. Well, this evidence of footsie under the table with another bride, someone else's wife, even if she instigated it, he didn't shut it down. He went along with it and played along with it. So production, I don't know if they were sparing Athena for any hurt because she already was in pieces multiple times on the show, quite emotional. And I don't think they didn't last anyway. So it would have just been added mess, but I thought that's what production wanted. So my bad. I miscalled it. It's somewhere on the cutting room floor, or someone deliberately deleted the evidence before it came to air. But I thought that would have been one of the major things to address between Adrian and Athena.
It was a major thing to address, especially since Sierra is in the room. I thought as soon as I saw Sierra there and she had fire in her belly from the dinner party, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it. I'm buckled in. I'm ready for Sierra to explain herself. And Billy hadn't seen it either, which was Sierra's husband in the show. So I'm ready for Billy's facial. Billy always give us the face. I'm ready for Billy to look at his wife like, what the heck? Really? I'm waiting for all that drama and I got nothing. I got nothing. I didn't even get it addressed that, you went out with all the parties were there. Even Tony was there, who was supposedly the chaperone on their meetup for the, sharing the salty meat. And I'm saying that with all the innuendo that you could think of because we grown here in this chat. I am not going out there sharing no plates of meat with male friends or people that met on the show, which is somebody else's husband, after you done went out shopping all day with the wife. And you had mentioned nothing about going out with her husband later that night. See, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And I could give you that maybe they don't want Athena to be going through this. But this is the only juicy piece of meat we had to nibble on in the finale. And they didn't give us any. They didn't give us any. I'm mad.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They had all the parties there, and it could have been a dialogue that was had between Tony the prop, Sierra. Why did you do it in the first place? Obviously you're attracted to Adrian, but he's with someone else and you're with someone else. So why did you do that? And then Adrian, is this infidelity because this is someone else's wife, this Billy's wife at the time? And you seem to be going well with Athena for periods in the relationship. So what happened? Why did you do it? Again, they dropped the ball on that one. That would have been one of the most, if they were like a Mount Rushmore of clips to air, that should have been on that Mount Rushmore, because that was the cheating scandal from this season, pretty much.
Just so for those of you who have not watched a season of Married at First Sight Australia, usually in the finale, they show you all the clips of what you missed or what you didn't see that your spouse was up to. Okay. Now, before we have had some major, as Life is Reality said, some major Mount Rushmore cheating scandals from the show. Again, these are not legal marriages like Married at First Sight in the US. These are kind of like civil unions where they choose every week whether to stay with this person and stay throughout this experiment. So while we say cheating scandal, it's technically not marriages, it's technically not legal marriages, but it is still a civil union. That's why they can truly walk away. So here's the other thing. Previously, we have seen brides and grooms go out with other brides or grooms and have like necking sessions at the restaurant. We have seen them go out and at the pool, snoozing, canoodling, who giving foot rubs, who doing all kinds of stuff with another person's spouse. Even someone who left their spouse is coming back to the apartments to try and get somebody's other spouse to leave them. It has been scandals like that. This is the only cheating reference we had amidst all of the cast, and we saw it physically on camera with the footsies of it all. Oh, I
Actually,
am so disappointed. Go ahead.
actually, there was more cheating scandal that was with Jackie and how she performed getting the guy's number and talking about meeting up. They showed that, right? So why didn't they show this footsie clip? The other side of it is maybe they didn't see anything wrong with it. Now that would be a surprise to me, but they knew it happened. So for them not to air it, they might be cool with it.
I don't know in what world my husband will be okay with me rubbing my feet against somebody else's husband under the table. But maybe that's an Australian culture. In the comments, if you are from Australia and know the culture, let me know if this would have been okay in your marriage in Australia. But I know in the US, US of A, I would be real hot, 95 going north hot. If that was my husband, even if it's my TV husband playing footsie with a wife and she's sending kissy faces and winking at him, oh, no, no, no. We'll be
Well,
shaking tables.
well, production, they got a lot to answer for with that one. I agree. In most cultures, it would be unacceptable, but there must be some reason why they decided to omit such a vital piece of information or a vital scene. You know, it didn't change the complexion of Adrian and Athena's relationship or Billy and Sierra's. It was nothing, you know, maybe if it was going to affect the polarity of the relationship, then it could have been aired. Even there would have been more urgency to put it on. But both relationships didn't make it anyway, you know. But I think for Adrian and Athena, they at least made it to final vows. So that's why it would have been an important bit of information.
Right, as Munira says here, Adrian and Sierra wanted to switch partners too. Billy and Athena were silent when they heard that. Um, she wanted Billy and Athena to say something. Well, I think they're saying something right now in social media because Billy and Athena are seen together, celebrating together. Their families are seen celebrating together. They have not come out as a couple, but everything is, glaring and showing us couple, 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 couple.
Yep.
So, while I agree with that, I think the couple swap or redirection has happened after the fact. But let's just say, just for those who have not seen Married at First Sight Australia before, there have been a couple that have left, and then two separate parties of that couple have come back and been allowed to come back and experiment and try to sustain a marriage themselves. Now, they lasted a very long time after the season, but they did end up ending things. It was Daniel and I forgot the young lady's name from South America, but they end up being at least a year together after the show. But let's just say this was a major drop the ball because you only decided to go with one cheating scandal. I don't like it. Anything else about Adrian and Athena? Because I'm getting hot.
Um, yeah, I would also say that Sierra came in hot for Athena anyway, and I think Athena saw it as a betrayal that she was venting about her husband, and Sierra used it against her. But Athena, you can't vent like that because Sierra's not your friend. And she's playing footsie with the dude as well. So she used that as a trump card to burst your bubble, and you gave her that ammunition. So Athena, you shouldn't have said that anyway. Like you never throw your partner under the bus like that, because as bad as Adrian was, he didn't actually go and badmouth Athena to anybody else. So yeah, like she definitely needed smoke for that.
He badmouthed her twin sister, but that's beside the point. It wasn't Athena. But how dare you get mad at me and you trying to steal my husband? I just don't understand the audacity, the gall. I don't understand it. I just, y'all put it, tell me in the comments if it's just, maybe it's an Australian thing. Maybe I'm just, the Western world has got me in its grasp. But I could not be coming here hot for the man's wife when I was trying to steal her husband. Just because she put me on blast for being duplicitous. She put me on blast for, hiding the fact I was going out and sharing a plate of meat with her husband. I mean, come on, lady.
Mm.
But let's get to the next couple, because the only cheating scandal we were privy to on this reunion, and even it was a wet rag. It wasn't even a top-notch cheating scandal, okay? It wasn't even top-notch. Let's get there. Ryan and Jackie. So after 2 weeks after the show, she moving in with Clint. Clint is a groom from a previous bride, Lauren. Lauren struck out twice. She already had Elliot, then she had Clint as a groom, and Clint left, or they left together, but Clint and Jackie started dating each other. So Ryan says he has text messages that she was not going to be disrespectful, and he was not going to be disrespectful and talk about Clint like that. But they looked back and saw that Ryan placed Jackie third when they ranking the brides and ranking the husbands. That is a challenge they do. You have a chance to rank your partner, and he ranked her third. The group was shocked, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Why are we shocked? Jackie says she was trying to make him better. With he had a rap sheet of so many things he did wrong, and I'm like, girl, why you keeping score? Why are you keeping notes? So Jackie said the whole thing was sad to watch. There's nothing wrong with her. It's all Ryan. And he's like, why would you stay with me if we had all these things wrong with me? Why would you keep on saying stay week after week after week? And that was a legitimate question. The cheating scandal we have is that during the last mission, you have to choose whether you go on a date with the person you could have been matched with. And Jackie chose to go, as did Ryan. But Jackie told her date, hey, I'll be done with this in about 10 days. Let me get your number and I'm going to hit you up later. I wonder if Clint knows that she has this guy's number. The guy said in the end, in his social media, the gentleman, he said he never gave his number, that he did not appreciate Jackie behaving that way, considering she had a relationship. She was in a relationship, married per se, so he didn't give his number. But the fact that Jackie asked for the number was like, hey, I'm going to be out of here in a few. Why would she even write stay to go to final vows with Ryan? What are your thoughts about Ryan and Jackie and all of this mess?
Yeah, Jackie, this is where all of the cheating scandals were. When you dissect how she behaved, she never liked Ryan from the start, picked him apart personality-wise, career-wise, everything, told him that he's a red flag, and every single word that she could use to tear him down, she was doing that from day one. So yes, I can understand why he was peed off. I can understand why he was confused why she's writing stay when she doesn't like him, and she's told him she doesn't like him multiple times, and nothing was changing that. They might smile in each other's face after in between each argument, but the fact is they're arguing frequently. And it's mostly because she feels like she's above Ryan, and he needs to be elevated up from where he is in order to match or meet where she is, or meet her goals and what she's looking for a man. Wrong. Very insensitive thing to do. The way she went about it was insensitive. She's got issues with not only awkwardness, but the way she articulates herself is terrible. She doesn't put any thought into the other person's feelings, how they're gonna potentially receive what she's saying. And she has zero accountability. None. Absolutely zero. So the cheating scandals with Jackie, like you said, not only when she went to the date to see if there was going to be a potential better match for her, she went there. Not only did she exchange numbers, but she also said, yes, I'll meet you in 10 days once the show's over. So that means it's wraps then. Because in 10 days, if things were good between you and Ryan, you wouldn't be going nowhere. You wouldn't be going to meet someone else. So why didn't you say quit then? That's the second thing. Third thing is, she squealed. I worked my little butt off to try and save this relationship. No, you worked your butt off to try and ruin the relationship and what potential there could have been. You emasculated, you disrespected, you insulted. And I'm sorry, but you don't have that face card to be doing that without getting held to account for what you're doing. Ryan doesn't even like you like that now, right? Because that's the thing. Like, you have to realize that some guys value the personality and the way you make them feel more than how you look, right? You might think you're a 10, but if you're treating him like one of the worst people that he knows, then he's not going to be feeling you. And that may be news to Jackie, but she needs to wake up and realize that, well, not so much now, because Clint is her new voodoo doll, where she can put all the nails into him and it doesn't really affect him. And she probably doesn't do it as much as Ryan, because Clint has a lot of money, a lot of wealth, a lot of assets, and she feels like she's going to be taken care of, have that soft life. So when she was asked about Clint, what she likes about Clint, there was nothing personally, like personality-wise, that she said about Clint. It was all about what he has and what he owns and what going to visit him was like. The his and her bedroom, his and her separate bathrooms, his and hers this, that, the other. So it's very materialistic. And unfortunately, Ryan is not of the financial standing to win her respect and therefore her approval on his manhood, like being a man. So again, there was no reason to keep writing stay when there was absolutely no way that you were going to salvage anything with Ryan. What she did was, based on the heat that she took on the show, because it didn't go the way she wanted it to, she decided to string him along by writing stay, keeping him there against his will pretty much, because if one partner says stay, the other person says leave, you have to stay for another week. So she strung it along all the way to the end for the big final ending where she berates him and embarrasses him in front of everybody at the altar and puts an end to the relationship so that she feels that she's got the upper hand. So that was all a big plan for her. And in the meantime, while she's doing that, she's still got eyes for Clint and this other dude who didn't even take her number, because they want nothing to do with her. Now, what was interesting is the castmates went back through the timeline that her and Clint spoke about. They said they left the show, and 2 weeks after the show is when they got together. Now, 2 weeks after they got together, they decided that she's going to move to Tasmania to go and live with him. So you're telling me that he's been paired with somebody else, you've been with Ryan all this time, you've given out your number to another dude, talking about hooking up with that dude, and then somehow in 2 weeks, you've decided Clint is the guy for you. You're going to uproot all these millions of dollars that you're making, all these multiple businesses that you're making. You're going to uproot all of your life and move to where Clint is. Yeah, very materialistic. Relationship has no real substance other than the fact that she's using him for his stature and his wealth. The other thing I'll say is stature and wealth is appealing to some women. Yeah. You know, they'll overlook your personality, they'll overlook your looks if you're of a high enough stature and you earn enough money. Unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles. What I saw on one of the most recent, in fact, it was earlier today, saw Clint and Jackie giving an interview. And you'll see that Clint has a black eye. So I was wondering if that was dished out by Jackie during some type of argument or bust up. But they're keeping a united front for the most part on social media. And they are doing the rounds because they want to dispel the narrative that Jackie is this horrible person. Unfortunately, we saw what we saw, and editing can only do so much. That was really you, Jackie. And you need to realize that you're not as attractive as you may think you are.
Yes, editing could only do but so much. And I agree with that because many of the castmates in their interviews have said what we saw on screen is what and who they experienced of Jackie. Now, as far as Clint, I was flashing over Clint. Clint is 43. He was married to Lauren. And Jackie is 29. Okay. Y'all see that age gap? Y'all see that age gap? And we have a wealth gap between Clint and Ryan. Ryan has earned and bought his house. You know, he said before the age of 30, he bought his house. He saved. He I forgot the industry he is in. Ryan is no slouch. Ryan is not on the poverty line. Jackie showed us an Airbnb when we went to visit her because apparently, quiet as it's kept, Jackie was living in an apartment that was way too small for filming, and she had multiple roommates. That's what production put out there on the social media. So while you're saying all this about Ryan, you know, and Ryan has his issues. Ryan thinks he's a warrior of old. Ryan can come off as controlling. Ryan does have a certain level and standard that he wants to keep, but Ryan never yelled and carried on with her that we saw. Ryan was disrespectful in how he talked about her to the other folks. He would talk about their intimacy with the fellas. That was wrong because he's trying to be one of the guys. Ryan has a lot of red flags, but because you know Jackie said in a industry of red flags, he's a red carpet. Jackie, I don't know then what you are. If he's the red carpet, what are you? The red light? Because clearly you are even worse than he is. Go ahead.
Well, metaphorically, if Ryan's the red carpet, then Jackie's the Red Sea, right?
Hey, preach.
she's That's what I'm saying. There's no accountability. She's so busy looking at Ryan and his flaws, or you know, putting her expectations up here and always keeping Ryan down here. But yeah, that's concerning because anybody that gets with Jackie, you've got to be on eggshells, and you've got to be able to deal with a lot. She comes with a lot, and I don't envy Clint whatsoever. And he stupidly keeps um saying, you know, she'll treat a guy like Ryan like that, but she'll never treat me like that. Listen, when it happens to you, bro, you've got more to lose. All those assets, all those houses, cars, whatever it is you got, she's got her designs on those things, bro. She's trying to elevate herself off of you. So when she switches on you, don't be surprised when she tries to take half.
I will though stick up for Clint. Clint does play golf. He does play tennis. He does play, you know, I guess what he would call gentleman sports. So it may be that he, you know, hit the tennis, you know, ball with the racket in a wrong way. I would give him that rather than paint it on Jackie. But I understand what you're saying. I ain't gonna say she ain't capable. I ain't gonna say she ain't capable. But definitely the timeline too, when Ryan heard the rumors about Jackie getting with Clint, he did the respectful thing. He said he contacted both of them. Jackie told him, hey, I would never do that. I would never disrespect you in this way, Ryan. Yet that turned out to be a bold-faced lie at the reunion. Because if you're moving in with Clint already, clearly you had communication, contact with him before even your final vows with Ryan. So while Ryan may be a bad guy, Jackie, and he has a lot of red flags, you did not do yourself service by showing up the way you did, even though it's an edited show. Anything else with Ryan and Jackie so we can move on to the next heated couple?
Yeah, I'll just end it by saying she's a rotten apple. We can see that Ryan is not perfect. He put his foot in it. He even dropped her during the initial meeting, during their wedding dance. But Jackie has shown herself consistently to be a nightmare. So, as I said, rotten apple. And Clint, well, I just hope you got a prenup, bro.
Well, another couple that the group had to speak up for or speak up about, Karina and Paul. So Karina and Paul, they did make it to their final vows. Paul said, "Yes, you my forever," and Karina said, "No, I deserve better." For those of you who did not watch the show, Paul has had a lot of flare-ups that Karina had to forgive him for. He did not like hearing about her previous intimate partner, which was a famous rapper, and he punched a wall or a door, depending on who you spoke to. He then talked about her being a snob and being judgy to Athena, and Paul had a whirlwind romance in the past with Athena's twin sister. So Karina was doubly upset because now you've told your ex's sister about stuff we talked about in private as a couple. Also, Paul kept on, I forgot the last thing he had done, but Paul just kept on. Oh, the last thing was he took the date. Were a solid couple. They were, of course, considered married in this show, even though it's like a civil union. He took the final date, and she was pissed, and she put him out the apartment because he took that final date, because she said that was a violation and that was cheating. Now he at the final final couch says, she keeps on making decisions based on what people think. She's real judgy. But then, hey, they had to speak up for her. Jeff spoke up for her. Jamie spoke up for her and said, "Hey, if this was the case, she would not have had your back, because we were all against you and she still had your back. She forgave you despite what we thought about you." So they looked back, they talked about their issues and the fact that he didn't tell her he said a snob. They look back at their final date. And the expert John, which is there are three experts, two ladies, Schilling and Alejandra and John. John said you have to stop being a victim, Paul. And I was like, kudos to you, John, because Paul is forever the victim in this. He said you overreact in the car. That is considered violence. You talking outside of your relationship. That is considered a betrayal. You took the chance to go out with a woman that could have been your wife in this. That is another form of betrayal. That is cheating. He said, don't blame the person who's on the receiving end of your foolishness. That's the message he had for Paul. And I love that message. And for Karina, she wanted the fairy tale ending. Life ain't a fairy tale, young lady. And don't create, I'm glad you woke up that Paul ain't no Prince Charming, but you gotta wake up from this fairy tale. And she said she needs to be more confident in herself. What were your thoughts about Karina and Paul and the message that John had for Paul?
You pretty much covered it. Paul made some very large mistakes. And what he tried to do was partially own up to the mistake, but then tried to say, "Oh, well, she's not perfect either. Look at what she's done. Look at but she didn't do anything as egregious as what you did. Even when she put Migos on or whatever it was, and then she said, this is the guy that I slept with, right? Yeah, like that is a very foolish thing to do. Like that's stupid. That's like taking a photo out and saying, yeah, this is the hunk that I used to date before I got with you, right? You don't do things like that. So she is aloof, naive, or just like you said in her own little fairy tale. But that's not something you do, right? Especially if someone does care about you or have feelings for you or whatever. But no, Paul basically turned into a kamikaze. He terminated that relationship by himself. He did a few things that just were irretrievable. Um, and yeah, he imploded, and he didn't want to lose, and he ended up losing his woman, and especially after trying to pour his heart out and speak French and try and woo her again at the final vows, and she went, nope, decision's made. It's not you, Paul. She wouldn't give him the time of day ever again. And he said he went home, he thought about it, and then that 4 weeks he was brewing, trying to concoct how it was really her fault. But no, Paul, you did what you did, and you got held to account by John, the expert. And yeah, you just gotta fall on your sword, bro. It wasn't Karina's fault why you went, and even if he is right, even if she is judgy, even if she does, because we saw her fall out with Jamie, and we saw her mention Athena's sister as well. So I think she said something like, "I wouldn't have thought you would have gone with that class of girl," or something like that. So she is judgy. She is, but unfortunately, that doesn't actually erase or even go any way near touching what Paul did. So yeah, unfortunately, what seemed to be a strong couple throughout the entire season crashed and burned.
Now, just for those of you as well who are new to Married at First Sight Australia, that's what they do to us. We get a very strong couple. We are rooting for them. They are going through everything in good strides. And for some reason, the last 2 weeks, it just implodes. And this was Karina and Paul's implosion. And I wonder if this is why he technically ghosted her in the beginning. They met before, y'all. This is one of the couples that met and dated before the show, and he ghosted her. He did not, return her texts and stuff. He canceled their second date and just disappeared. So I wonder if he disappeared because he was exploring other options like he did on this show. It don't look good, Paul. You may have to find a different dating pool because this don't look good. Any final thoughts about Karina and Paul before I let you have the floor? Okay. Now, y'all, Life is a Reality and I have been having a lot of back and forth about these couples. And while I just took my flowers about production not putting the cheating scandal on here, I have to give Life is Reality his flowers now, okay, y'all? The final couple we're going to talk about is Jeff and Rye. Now, I was saying they calm, stale, boring, whatever. I was saying that. Life is Reality is like, hey, every relationship don't have to be fiery, don't have to be fireworks. It could be slow and steady and win the race. And that's what they said. They said they're just chill. It may be slow moving, but they did share I love yous. They will travel for the next year. They will learn about each other. They are still going together strong. She still has the key, and the key still works. It still works because I said you can change that lock in a heartbeat. And they are continuing in the manner in which they have been succeeding on the show. They're still together. They're going strong. I am going to give you the floor, Life is Reality, because this is your couple, because I wasn't having it.
Yeah, so I saw that there was a connection there, and because there wasn't the, let's say, the problematic scenes between them, I naturally assumed that things were just progressing in whatever time they gave it. They put their effort in just enough to make the relationship secure. There was no outside interference. Occasionally you had Jeff interfering or trying to call out other people, but their relationship largely remained solid and intact. So, yeah, not surprised that they're still together. And they've progressed in their own time. And that's the key thing. Even though the show may be a certain duration, the fact is, these people have to figure out everything in their own time and at their own speed, because they're the ones that have come on national TV, bared everything. If it goes wrong, they're going to get villainized or scrutinized or picked apart, or we're going to talk about them on these podcasts, and then they have to go back to their real life and deal with the fallout from it, from their performance as well, and how they've been edited and things like that. So Jeff and Ree, congrats to them for being a solid couple that made it through, least problematic couple. And one out of 10, I think it isn't too bad. I think that's roughly the odds of most of these shows anyway. So yeah, big up to them.
And just for the audience to know, Jeff and Rye also dated in the past. They had a whirlwind. They were each other's rebound, they said. When they walked to the aisle, when Ree was walking up, they recognized each other. She knew his friends, he knew her friends, but it fizzled out that first time. And their journey was all about how do you get back on track with someone where it did fizzle out because it was just a rebound, and now thinking and operating like y'all are going to be a unit and a married couple, with longevity. So kudos to Jeff and Rye. They were kind of stagnant. Jeff was pulled into a few, little waves. But kudos to them. Jeff, I don't like this current haircut. That's all I can say. But as long as Jeff, if Rye like it, I gotta love it. But this couple is certainly, we wish them well. They are slow and steady wins the race. And, life is reality. Got to keep me, with reality, and that it doesn't always have to be antics and fireworks and firecrackers for the relationship to be on, our screen and to have longevity. Are there any final thoughts or words about this entire season that you have, or about Jeff and Ryan?
I would just say the producers and no, in fact, I'll even say it's not even the producers. I'm gonna say the experts really needed to get Marina on that couch, but even though she didn't turn up, but you should have ordered her to turn up so that she could face questions about her behavior, having seen it back. Because she's out here on the social media streets going crazy. And yeah, a few of them have gone on to collaborate with each other. I know Elliot's been doing a lot of social media antics with quite a few of the ladies from the show, sometimes at the same time. No, it's not Polly.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Exactly. So
good morning, angels.
Exactly, yeah, the Charlie's Angels reference. So as much as they tried to portray Elliot as being a bad guy, I think it was just that he was paired with Lauren, and we saw Lauren unravel. She went against the other castmates. She turned on Elliot pretty quickly, and her and Clint didn't obviously work out. So common denominator there is Lauren. Again, someone else who didn't turn up to the show that could have got some smoke from the experts as well. But on the whole, it's been an interesting season, entertainment, and as usual, I would say MAFS Australia is one of the better ones for their format, the way they laid out. So yeah, we've come to an end. Hopefully, we'll be back for the next season.
Yes, definitely. Hopefully, we will definitely be back together for Married at First Sight the next season. As you said, this has been a wonderful season. We have had a first two couples who've known each other prior, so we know the dating pool is getting smaller and smaller. We also had where, hey, I don't like my wife, I don't like my husband after day 2, and I could go get a new one within the same season. That is certainly unprecedented for Married at First Sight Australia. But again, as we said, these are civil unions. The format is very different from the American version, which I do enjoy. I love the couples every week having a dinner party, showing up to show us if they're together or not, or having a good relationship or not. And every week meeting with the experts in front of everyone after having an exercise to do on their relationship. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I did like that the marriage swap was back, where you had 3 days with another person's partner to get insight on your relationship and for you to learn how you could do things better. So again, we love Married at First Sight Australia. It is one of the best ones, as Life is Reality just said. And we are going to continue with this. Maybe I'll take a peek into the UK when it happens and see. but definitely Australia. I've been watching it for years. Okay, Life is Reality say no, don't do UK. But I've been watching Married at First Sight Australia for years, and I'm so glad to recap it. I'm so glad Life is Reality can do this with me. And we did have Little Black Book 91 for quite a while with us, but his schedule just got so busy that he couldn't finish it with us. But we'll see him around these here parts again. Just to let you know, every week on Sunday at noon, I'm going to be covering A Love Is Blind that I've recapped previously. I just did Love is Blind Habibi, which was very interesting. And next week, I'm going to cover Love is Blind Mexico. That was a whole lot of drama, too. So if you care to join me, I won't be back at 3:05 p.m. because this is the finale for Married at First Sight. But definitely continue to join me. Subscribe to the channel so you know whenever I come up with some antics to talk about. Life is Reality. Let the people know how they can follow you, where they can find you.
You can find me on JRX TV on Instagram, where you see fitness related content, mindfulness, well-being, motivational memes, things like that. And then YouTube, catch me doing stuff with El Cid, collaborating on these type of podcasts. Lil Black Book is another channel that I collaborate on. Actually, Aubrey, who we're about to go live in a few moments to chop up and break down the Never Ever Met season 2, episode 2. So if you're free, jump on to actually Aubrey's channel and catch us there. We're about to review Never Ever Met part 2. Other than that, man, I'm working hard every day. So I make time for these things. So yeah, listen, everybody, just show your appreciation, your love. Let's keep these channels going. Like, share, subscribe. It's free. Yeah, look forward to you guys seeing my content, and see you guys soon.
Yes, as he said, he will be next on actually Aubrey podcast. I was trying to find a link so I could put it in the chat, but actually Aubrey Aubrey podcast. You will find that he is there to talk about Never Ever Met, and it is a good time. I'm also on Friday nights, usually with Another Round JS, Another Round with a D JS, talking about Never Ever Met, and I think we're supposed to do Love and Marriage Detroit. But we will see you guys around these YouTube streets. Have a wonderful day, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.